I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Like Millett might have won this. He did by 2/100ths of a second over Brandon. That S4 guy off turn 4 for the final time sees the checkered flag. It waves. It belongs to the 315. Checkered flag. Contact, and Brian Rose wins it. A photo finish at the line. Oh, we got a wreck. Will Hewitt's through the trial for the final time, and oh, they're wrecking. Big trouble. Vincent Short sneaks through, and I think Short... Just south of Seneca Lake amidst the rolling vineyards and woodlands in upstate New York's Finger Lakes region sits a shrine of American motorsport. Watkins Glen International is more than just a racetrack. It's the birthplace of post-war road racing in North America, a worthy test of some of the best drivers to ever sit in a race car. Today, the Glen hosts NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, as well as a 6-hour crown jewel of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Sports Car Club of America Pro and Amateur Racing, ARCA Menards, and major vintage race meets at the end of September. It also has been home to major concerts and other festivals. Over the years, the Glen has been lengthened once and continually upgraded. A lap around today's Grand Prix circuit still incorporates much of the original layout. The first turn, known as the 90-degree right-hander and a good place to pass, then it's up toward the Essence, a series of 3 fast sweeping apexes leading onto the back straightaway. The cars reach their top speed here before hard braking before the bus stop at the end of the straight. Here, the track doubles back through the carousel, followed by another long straightaway into the fast turn 10, a quick left-hander that's harder than it looks. The last corner, turn 11, another fast right-hand turn that leads out onto the main straightaway. Racing first came to the Glen in 1948 in the form of the Watkins Glen Grand Prix, an SCCA-sanctioned event that ran more than 6 miles through the state park and the back roads of town. The success of that event eventually led to the construction of a permanent facility. The resulting product, a little more than a third in length of the original street course. In 1957, the track hosted its first race, a NASCAR Grand National Series event won by Buck Baker over Fireball Roberts. The following year, Formula Libre showed up. Not long after that, Watkins Glen hit the big time. In 1961, Formula One came to the little town by the lake, bringing with it some of the most legendary names in motorsports. For the next 2 decades, the home of the U.S. Grand Prix was Watkins Glen. The early 80s saw some tough times for the Glen. F1 held its last race there in 1980, and it was closed to all but spectator-free SCCA meets for 2 years. But the track would soon recover, enough under new ownership. In 1986, NASCAR's Top Series returned to the Glen, and with it, a whole new renaissance for the track began. Tonight, it's the No Bull Racing Series Finger Lakes Grand Prix at the Glen, and it's next on HBR TV. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. I'm Steve Singer with HBR TV, joined in the broadcast booth by Eric Dotson. How are we doing, Eric?
Doing great, Steve. How about you?
Doing well. You know I love Watkins Glen. These trucks are fun to watch here. We're going to have a good race to watch here tonight. 45 laps around this beautiful road course here in, well, I guess you'd call it the southern tier of New York State.
This is definitely your home course track.
Was actually 10 minutes from that facility just yesterday morning, picking up a car out of storage in the area. Didn't have a chance to go down to the track, but either way, we're here now in the virtual aspect of things. Let's take a look again. Race details, 45 laps around this circuit, 78-degree air temperature, somewhat humid, 89% humidity. Track temperature, we're about 102 degrees, so a little hot and slick out there this afternoon. We'll see if these guys can get it done in qualifying, as we are just a couple of minutes shy of getting into that session. So let's go down trackside here, take a look where everyone is stacking up. Before we go too deep into that, though, let's take a look at the point standings here. Zach Millett comes in here. This is the final race of this particular round. Millett with the lead by just 1 point over Brian McCann. And then it's third place Brian Rose, Neil Quick, Brandon Mefford in the 5th position. Chris Goins, Mark Truxell, Chris Mefford, Alfie Charon, Doug Wysocki, your current top 10 as we come into tonight. Also want to make sure that we get a look here to give everybody an idea of what it looks like to go around this racetrack here at Watkins Glen. So let's take a lap here. This is the truck coming out of turn 11 on the main straightaway here. 151 miles an hour, hard on the brakes, down into second gear, hit the apex of the corner, back to the throttle. Back to the gas, line of the throttle, out of turn 4, back to the So again, taking a look at practice times thus far, Millett the fastest. That was his first lap, I believe, of the session. A minute 12:94. Everyone else 13 or slower. And just like that, we're going to get right into the qualifying session. Looks like Brian McCann's not going to waste any time getting out onto the racetrack. Brian's fast everywhere we go, road courses included. Do we want to make picks before we even finish qualifying, Zach? Eric? I'm showing my hand here.
We can. Who's your pick going to be?
I know Brian McCann won this last road course race at Sonoma. I'm going to go with Zach Millett here. It's a home track for Millett as well. He's fast. He was quick in practice. Obviously, we don't know where qualifying is going to end up, but I got my money on the 315.
I'll take the 3 of Brian McCann. He won the road course earlier in the year, and looks like he's going to have a good race here tonight. So I'm going to take Brian McCann.
Clearly, neither one of us going out on a limb here as far as our picks are concerned. Both solid picks, both relatively equal chances to win here tonight. Oh, Brian McCann stopping on his outlap. Is he going to go back to the pits? Not sure what's going on with Brian McCann here. He parked it on the exit of 11. Maybe some adjustments to be made in car. He's not really going to have the run out of 11 that he needed. So lap 2 is likely going to be faster for the 3. Very interesting. Doesn't sound like he's fully in the throttle.
Maybe on older tires? Or this is qualifying, isn't it?
Yeah, we're in the qualifying session at this point. I don't know if he's just kind of making sure that lap 2 is his money lap. Just gingerly trying to get some heat into the tires, but interesting. Stick with McCann here for a minute. Back into turn 10. Kevin McCann goes P1 for a moment. Minute 13:307. Brian McCann across the stripe. Minute 13:15 is actually fastest so far. An interestingly quick lap. It did not seem like he was pushing the truck all that hard. Zach Millett out of the pits on his out lap. We'll check back in on him in a moment or two. Neil Quick on his second lap. First time by 1 minute 13.328 for the number 2. A little bit too much of the curve there. Sent that truck up in the air a bit. Gotta say, Neil Quick, though, he certainly put the work in, improving his road racing skills. Neil certainly not shy to running sports cars on the occasion.
He does it all.
Not the best exit out of turn 11 for Neil Quick. Don't know if he just got in the corner apex too early, but he has wrapped up lap 2. It's a minute 14:409, almost a full second slower. Green flag for Zach Millett down into turn 1. Brian McCann did pick up his time, a minute 12:841. Currently sits as the provisional pole sitter. So at least as far as Brian McCann was concerned, lap 2 was the faster of his 2 laps. And taking a look at the weather, 78 degrees, track temperatures down about 5 degrees, 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Millett getting all of the curb on entry, just barely missing that inside armed co-barrier. It's the way you got to do it.
Using all the track.
As long as he didn't get the off track, should be okay. Millett across the stripe. Lap 1 for Zach Millett. Where does he land? P1, minute 12.656. That was lap 1. Brian Rose just taking his second lap. Minute 14.73, first time by for the 89. A little too far to the left on the entry, it looked like. Got that truck a little out of shape.
I know Brian's definitely wanting to have a good finish here as the cutoff is approaching after this race. And he's got himself in good position, just needs a good, solid finish to move on.
Talk about guys that have certainly improved their road racing craft. It's Brian Rose. He's certainly put in the time to do it as Zach Millett improves his pole speed. Minute 12.57 for the 315. Alfie Charon has just finished up his 2 laps. Minute 13.72 puts him in the 8th spot. 3 drivers opting not to take the green in qualifying. Mark Truxell, Eddie Rose, Doug Wysocki. Keep an eye on Mark Truxell. We know he's clean to begin with, but he does really enjoy running these trucks or really anything on road courses, so he's going to be a driver to be dealt with tonight. Faster guy near the back. With that, I believe we've got just about everybody complete here at Watkins Glen, so we're going to step out, take a quick break, and we'll be back with our starting grid after this. Stay with us.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix at the Glen, race number 13 of the No Bull Racing Series, and it is a cutoff race. On the pole with a lap time of 1 minute 12.566 seconds, it's the 3:15 of Zach Millen. Outside front row, it's the 3 of Brian McCann. Those two going to go at it and battle again here at a road course this week. Starting third, Chris Mefford, the number 46 Falcon Motorsports driver. Kevin McCann starts in the 4th spot. Starting in the 5th position, it's the 2 of Neil Quick with Chris Goins starting in P6. 7th goes to Mark Thomas. He's out of the UK and he does like to road race. Keep an eye on the driver of the 50 here tonight. Alfie Charon starts in the 8th spot. Brian Rose, 9th. Brandon Mefford, the 83, starts 10th. 11th starting position, it is the 13 of Joe Tucker. 12th goes the Drew Prowl. 13th with Right Turn Racing, it's Jesse Redding. 14th, Eric Beadle out of Beadle Motorsports. He'll start in the 14th position with Josh Thomas, the dirt racer, trying his hand here on the road course. Number 23 starting 15th. Doug Wysocki out of the IROC series, the number 34, starts 16th. Mark Truxell in the 5. Close eye on Mark Truxell here from the 17th starting spot as he tries to work his way up through the field. Tommy D'Angelo with MCR Motorsports starts 18th. And last but not least, shotgun on the field, it's the 88 machine of Eddie Rose. It's your starting grid here from Watkins Glen International. Field working out of the carousel right now. We're getting ready to take the green flag this time by.
So you had Zach Millen, I had Brian McCann.
That's a firm.
Let's go.
Field into turn 11. Pace truck about to pull off. Pace car about to pull off.
Green, green, green.
Barney the flagman, green in hand, and it waves. We're underway.
I think it'd be very big for Brian McCann to maybe get down on that bottom side. I don't know if he's going to be able to.
Oh, Eric Beadle loose out of turn 1 here. Already a truck around, as well as not exactly sure who it might have been. Josh Thomas, possibly. Tommy D'Angelo may be involved in that as well. They're going to get out of here and keep going. We'll look at it here in just a moment.
I know it's early, but Zach Millen's stretching the lead just a little bit early on.
Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. We'll have to wait and see.
I know one thing we seen earlier at the road course was Brian McCann can make the tires last.
Yeah, Brian's good at keeping pace, but I think the Sonoma being a different animal completely. Brian was able to hold off Zach Millen there just mainly because there's not as much opportunity to make passes. Place like Watkins Glen, you do have a couple of good spots to set up a pass, outbreak a guy for position. So we'll see if Millet can maintain this kind of pace throughout the course of the run. He's already out to a full second advantage. Tommy D'Angelo already in the pits. Remember, I think Tommy was the one involved in that first lap incident. I don't know if he's just topping off for fuel. Having trouble getting into the pit box, it looks like.
The truck doesn't look hurt.
Well, Tommy D'Angelo's going to go down a lap here. Well, let's look at that first lap, see what happened.
Watch the 119 Eric Beetle. He's that blue and white machine there on the outside. Does he lock him up getting down into one? Yeah, he does. Locks up the rears. It sends him into the fence. Tommy D'Angelo, 4 wheels locked up. And it looks like Josh Thomas in that same corner having an issue on exit. None of these incidents were related other than the fact that it was on the restart. But there you have it. Lap 1 incident, turn 1, as we usually expect to see here at the Glen. So top 3 right now, Zach Millett, Brian McCann, Kevin McCann. Fourth, Chris Mefford. Fifth, Chris Goins. Chris, no stranger to any kind of road racing. Pretty familiar with it, running GT3 on occasion.
He had a great race last week. Maybe if he'd had a few more laps, he could have been in victory lane. He was fast.
Chris Goins picked up a win last week in the Lone Star Racing Cup Series. Way he's been running as of late, not be surprised to see him pick up a win here before the season's out.
Yeah, I know early on, it seemed like he just, Lady Luck wasn't on his side, and he was getting involved in other people's incidents, and it was taking him out. And looks like he may have a good streak of momentum going.
Sharon, number 51, running in the 11th spot. Let's check on Mark Truxell, already up from 17th, running in that 13th position. Down by Jesse Redding. Now he has Mark Thomas in his sights.
I'm surprised Mark didn't take a qualifying lap, but as we both know, Mark is very, very calculated in everything he does, so he had some type of strategy for not doing it.
Well, that's the thing, Mark, in many cases, he doesn't try to qualify. Likes to start out in the back, get into a rhythm. It does kind of help you avoid a lot of the chaos that can unfold in the first couple of laps of a race. Again, ladies and gentlemen, 45 laps the race distance here today. It's effectively half distance if we were running a official cup race here. 90 laps the full race distance here when they come in August. And Mark Thomas, though, all over the back of Drew Perel. Sets him up, outbreaks him into one.
What's the easiest place to pass here, Steve? I know you're the road course expert.
Well, I don't know if I would even use the term easiest. I think it's more of what's the best place to pass. I would say turn 1, it's kind of a no-brainer. That's where you want to get them done. I mean, you can do it turn 1, of course. Turn 10 is kind of risky, but it can be done if you set them up and get a really good run out of the carousel. The ultimate risk is 2x2 trying to make the position into the bus stop. You got to force the guy to lift, though. And if somebody doesn't lift and you try to run through there side by side, I won't say that it's impossible, but it usually does not end up well for one or both of the drivers.
Gonna try to maybe get up to the inside. Had to brake way too much. The 51 did.
That's Mark Thomas and Alfie Charon, two teammates, Prestige Worldwide. Closing in on Joe Tucker. Either slides up the track or makes it a little easier for the 50 to go around. I don't know if he was trying to let him go, but Mark Thomas, a little over rotation there in turn 11. Tucker battles back on the outside. We'll see if Mark can outbreak him down into one. Mark's got the position, and looks like Alfie might follow him through. He does. Joe Tucker losing 2 spots there in turn 1. Great view from our drone camera, courtesy of Whiplash Sim Cams. This guy certainly put out a great product. Haley, first one in the stream chat. It's been a quiet night here in the chat, but thanks for checking in. We've missed you the last couple. I know it's always late. You got to get rest at some point, but thanks for checking in. And she's right. Hit that thumbs up button, get the likes going. Certainly do appreciate that. It absolutely does help. We've got, unfortunately, only 10 watching right now, but 10 likes would certainly help. I hate to say this, but it looks like Alfie Charon's a little racy in behind Mark Thomas. He might have a little bit more pace. In fact, he did run about a half-tenth faster the last time by versus Mark Thomas.
They've kind of went back and forth a few times, so they just, I know it's easier. I feel like it was always easier to follow someone.
Yeah, it's hit and miss. I mean, if you're too close to the guy, it's sometimes hard to see your brake reference points, whether it's a distance marker prior to getting into the corner or just a mark on the racetrack or an indentation in the guardrail. Everyone's got their own preference, but if you get tucked right up behind a guy like you're drafting him at Daytona, Talladega, do that here at the Glen. Sometimes it really obstructs your vision. You kind of miss your mark. You do run the risk of running over the guy. You really got to be careful. Meanwhile, we watch this battle. Millett still with the race lead, continuing to extend that advantage over Brian McCann. It's 3.3 seconds here. We're 10 laps in already.
Yeah, I think Alfie's just not wanting to push it too far. I mean, you seen him out of the throttle way early there.
Which, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. At least down into turn 1, you almost want to be out of the throttle earlier than the guy in front of you, because it gives you an opportunity to have a really good exit out of 1, carry that speed up through the S's. Likewise, down the backstretch, you're wide open throttle for a very large portion of that. But 10 laps in here, we're coming up on the stage break. We're going to step aside, get our break out of the way before the stage. Stay with us. We're going to go HBR TV side by side. You won't miss a minute of the action. We'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Watkins Glen International, 13 laps in here of the Finger Lakes Grand Prix at the Glen. Zach Millett continues to lead and continues to stretch that advantage over second place Brian McCann. It's 4.5 seconds back to the 3 truck. Again, we do have a stage break coming here in about a lap or so. Lap 15. So I'll get everybody caught back up. Opportunity for tires and fuel, but I guess that's the question. After 15 laps, do they take the tires or do they stretch it just to get that track position? Or do they do the other way around? Do they wait till that final fuel stop, take the tires then?
We've seen different strategies at Sonoma, so I'm pretty sure we're going to see it here too.
While we were in the break, Alfie Charon did complete the pass on teammate Mark Thomas and moved Alfie into the 9th spot. Still a ways behind the next driver in line, that's Brian Rose. Brian's up 1 spot on the day. He's got the 83 of Brandon Mefford just off the nose, about 2 or 3 truck lengths ahead of him. Down into turn 1, we are on lap 15. Millett exiting turn 1. Looks like Eddie Rose just completing a pit stop. Not sure if that was planned or unplanned. Should expect to see the yellow flag here come out roughly about turn 11. Just prior to the completion of this lap.
Never know what you'll see on Millet spoiler.
Yeah, it's always something. Zach Millett out of the carousel. Still pushing. Last lap, I'm in at 14.2.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like he's still pushing that truck, and you know, maybe that's Brown McCann's plan, is just kind of save some tires and maybe not take tires his pit stop.
Any comments there, bud?
Caution is out. So Zach Millett, your winner here at stage 1. Brian McCann's going to finish P2. Kevin McCann, 3rd. Chris Mefford, Chris Goins, 4th and 5th. Neil Quick, Brandon Mefford, 6th and 7th. Brian Rose, Alfie Charon, Mark Thomas, the balance of the top 10.
So Steve Singer's in this race, and he's in the top 5 right here. What's he doing? Tires?
I'm going tires and fuel for sure. And without digging too deep into it, the fuel window is 15 to 18 laps. It's a 45-lap race, so of course we're going to need to make a green flag stop at some point. If the drivers make their final stop, kind of got to work it backwards at lap 27. That's an 18-lap run to the finish. I don't know if I take tires the second time or not. I think I'm going to take 4 tires and fuel now, and I would definitely consider 4 tires and fuel later, just depending on how much fuel I got to get loaded on board. Because it may not be much of a time savings to not take the tires. You know, maybe you gamble and take left sides because the majority of the turns here at the Glen are right-handers. But unless you've practiced it and you're very conscious of how the truck's going to respond handling-wise, I certainly wouldn't gamble with 2. Fun fact about tonight, not a single Toyota in this field tonight. Chevy versus Ford, nobody else. Whole field down pit lane. So Millet in the box. Least left sides. We kind of expected that. Again, here at the Glen, they run clockwise, so they pit the truck kind of the opposite of what they typically would. 4 tires and fuel. Millet is down and away, 14.78. There's the difference. Brian McCann is down as well, but slow stop on the 3, 15.38 seconds. So with that, let's get a word here with with Zach Millet, not Brian McCann. So we can pull him into the broadcast booth here and get a word with our stage winner. Zach Millet at Steve and Eric in the booth. You got us?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going good. Congratulations, winning stage number 1 here at the Glen. Had a bit of an advantage over the 3 of Brian McCann. Was that kind of expected, or is Brian McCann holding back, or does the truck just feel that good?
Man, I hope we have some sort of advantage. Those guys are real fast. I'm trying to do each lap and not look in my mirror, but one mistake, you blink at the wrong time, you're going to lose the lead and more. So I don't know, man. We're going to see if we can hang on to this and just try to run our own pace and not look back.
Certainly a longer run here to the finish as this first stage was about lap 15, 45 lap race. Fuel window between 15 and 18 laps. What's the thought process on tires versus no tires on our green flag stop here later on?
I'd love to say I have a strategy, but we're just going to kind of wing it and see how the truck feels. If it feels okay, maybe we'll just kind of come in, splash, and get. But I don't know, tires would be nice after that many laps. We'll see. Play it by ear.
Well, certainly all that you can do. Again, congratulations on stage 1 here, and wish you the best of luck here in the second stage of this race. Thanks for chatting with us, Zach.
Thanks, guys.
Zach Millet, your stage winner here at Watkins Glen, gets out of the pits here with the race lead. Pace car lights go out, so that means next time by, we'll be back to the green flag.
I think Brian McCann may push a little bit harder this time on Millet.
Well, we're going to find out. We got Haley in the stream chat. Really need to sleep, but I'll be back for sure next race. No problem, Haley. Again, thanks for hanging out. Have a good rest of the night. Again, anybody watching out in the stream chat, Haley lives in Sweden, so it is extremely late when she watches these races. So any laps that she can watch, we certainly appreciate.
HBR TV's biggest fan.
She's like a unofficial marketing coordinator, too.
Yeah.
So here we go. Formed up 2x2, pace car into turn 10. We'll go back racing here in just a moment.
Let's hope everybody gets through turn 1 clean this time.
It's all we can hope for. Pace car hard right turn down pit lane. Barney the flag man with the green in hand.
Green flag.
Green flag waves are underway. Jesse Redding way out of line to the inside. Kevin McCann pulls out, looks to the inside on Zach Millet. Millet up the middle. Brian McCann to his driver's left. Millet's going to take the spot to the inside, block off the run from Kevin McCann. A little wiggle out of Millet out of turn 1, and Kevin McCann taking a look to the inside into turn number 2. Battle for the top spot here at the Glen.
Ooh, these boys are after it.
Kevin McCann, no slouch on road courses either, as he takes the second position away from Ryan Rose. They work on a turn 4 down the back straightaway. Big trouble into the bus stop here. Jesse Renning goes around. Beetle coming into the fray. I think Doug Wysocki may have been a part of that as well. Take a quick look at it. That's not it. Oh, just locked up the rears, gets a piece of the Armco. Mefford gets through a little bit of contact. Wysocki drives it through the grass. Back out front, Millett has already started to get away from Kevin McCann. Not by a lot. It's just over half a second. And 20 laps in.
Just being out front affects the trucks as much with the clean versus dirty air as we would a oval track.
Shaping up for the second position. Brian McCann looks like he's trying to work over Kevin here. Down into turn 10, takes a little bit of a look to the inside. Nothing available just yet. Got to kind of wonder about the McCanns here. Are they working together? Are they really fighting for that position? As Kevin starts to stretch it out again, about 5 truck lengths now between him and the 3 truck from Brian McCann. But if they start battling for that second spot, it's going to let Zach Millett get further and further out. It's already 1.3 seconds. I know Brian might think he's faster, but these guys both run pretty close pace.
Brian was able to pull away from him in stage 1, but I mean, this stage it looks like Kevin may be the faster one.
Working back through turn 11 here, back to the main straightaway. That time by Kevin McCann, a 13:34 to Brian McCann's 13:46, so a bit faster. Zach Millett, though, a 13:21, so continuing to pull away ever so slightly. Chris Mefford running in the 4th spot. No challengers really for him to worry about. Just turn clean laps. In pretty good shape here. Brian Rose up into the 5th position. He started 9th tonight.
And the thing with him is he knows, you know, he's probably not going to be one of the fastest guys, but he knows he can get a top 5, so he's going to do everything he can to stay in his 5th position. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage to his hood there, though.
Yeah, a little bit of nose damage. I don't know if that was from the restart. Maybe he got into somebody. It's minimal at best, but I don't think it's going to hurt him all that much. But yeah, Brian Rose, we've talked about him. He's another one of those guys that has certainly worked on his racecraft when it comes to road racing. Certainly gotten better at it. As you see, he's running here in the top 5. He's got Alfie Charon knocking on the back door as well. But Brian's biggest Achilles heel over the last couple of seasons with road racing is he could turn some good laps. He could be competitive. Just couldn't put the whole race together. But as of late, he's still turning quick laps. He's still competitive. And he's able to do that throughout the entire course of the race in most cases. So it's already made a big difference in his ability level to compete on these road courses.
Yeah, absolutely. A big improvement out of him. Kudos to Chris Goins. I don't know if you've seen him out of the corner of the camera when we was looking at Brian Rose. He fishtailed about 4 times before he got it under control coming out turn 1.
So trying awful hard to stay in front of Mark Thomas. This is the battle for the 7th position.
Yeah, it looked like Mark may have let up when it happened because it looked like he was wrecking. He done a great job.
Well, Zach Millett, second stage with the same story. 2.3 seconds the advantage over Kevin McCann. We should start to see drivers come to pit lane between, I think, lap 31 to 36 at the latest. That's kind of the ballpark time frame where these guys have to pit. Doesn't mean that they can't come sooner. Work your way backwards. We talked early on here, lap 45 being the final lap. Go the opposite direction, count back 17, 18 laps, and you could go that route as well.
This is what I like. There's going to be so much pit strategy coming up here. You know, with these top 5, do they take tires? Do they stay out and have the fresher tires towards the end or pit sooner? I mean, it's just, there's going to be so much strategy coming.
100%.
Chris Goins done a good job of fighting off Thomas and putting a little bit of distance in between him and reeling in Alfie.
Yeah, meanwhile, Alfie's got some pace too. He's knocking on the door of Brian Rose. Alfie's last lap minute 14:39. About a half-tenth quicker than Brian Rose.
Alfie's all over him.
Real ginger on throttle on exit. Alfie not so much. Hammer down out of the carousel. He's got to run. Looks to the right side. Checks up. Alfie and Brian Rose are friendly. I don't think Alfie would have done that if it were anybody else. He had the position.
That was able to put some space in between them right there.
Yeah, I think Alfie trying hard to get around. Got those rear tires a little hotter than he wanted them to be. Slipping and sliding out of the carousel and then slipping it also through turn 11 on exit. It's hard to get him cooled off. This is his entry point to the bus stop a bit. So did Brian Rose. Still out in front, Zach Millett, 3 seconds over Kevin McCann.
Looks like Alfie may have his hands full with Chris Goins here as he's caught him.
Interesting the style of some drivers getting down into turn 1. Some are super aggressive on the brakes and the downshift, trying to get a little more rear drag, I guess you could call it, out of those rear brakes. Versus some guys like Chris Goins, he's not real aggressive on the downshift, but might be a little more aggressive on the brakes themselves. I think Chris Goins has to be a little patient here. He continues to watch Alfie Charon and Brian Rose battle out in front of him here. I think if he just kind of keeps and maintains the distance between himself and these two, he may come out on top at the end here just by saving his tires, not fighting these guys. Or if they come together and they both make a mistake, it's kind of easy positions for Chris Goins.
Which they haven't raced each other too hard. They look like they're pulling away a little bit on Chris.
Brian Rose maintaining that 5th spot, but again, it still seems that Alfie's a tick faster. In fact, last lap he was full 4/10 faster. You can run faster lap times, you still have to find a way around. It's tough for Alfie, though, in this case, is he knows he's quicker than Brian Rose, and if he could get by, he could continue to march towards the front, but Brian can't give up any positions here. He needs to maximize his day points-wise. Again, it's a cutoff round. He's got to get as much as he can out of this and work his way into that second and final round of the championship.
Alfie may try to set him up for a pass in turn 1 down here.
Goes down into turn 10, needs to the inside, checks up again. I don't know how many times Alfie's going to let it go. Later and later this race runs, the more and more those positions become valuable.
Looks like Brian McCann is pitting early.
Brian McCann, the number 3, peels off for P3. He's going to take his tires now, so let's do some quick math here. 16, yeah, we talked about it. Pitting as soon as you can make it to the finish. The trick here in most cases at road courses, at least like this one particularly, be the first driver to pit last. As a lot of times people talk about it, the last driver to pit first. I forget. But either way, Brian McCann working strategy in his favor here. It appears he will be a bit quicker here on fresher tires. He does opt to go with 4 tires and fuel. So that may dictate everybody else's strategy here for the rest of their pit stops. Brian McCann down and away. 14.9 seconds was the stop. Pretty quick. A lot better than it was during the stage. So Millett, let's see when he peels off. Does he stay on the racetrack? He's still getting it full send mode here into turn 11.
Yeah, man. I mean, for him to have a 5-second lead, he is absolutely hammering around there sideways and everything.
And his last lap was a minute 13.75. This time by a minute 13.81. Kevin McCann has opted to pit as well. So these guys are no slouches when it comes to strategy and pace. That's what makes them so dangerous. Is they can be quick. They also know how to gain time through pit strategy, and they're doing just that. I'm curious to see how long Millett stays on the racetrack, knowing that, knowing how quick these guys are. If I'm Zach Millett, I'm going to come next time by because Brian McCann's going to be gaining a second or 2 per lap on those fresh tires here, and it might make the difference. It's going to be a lot harder to pass once you get behind a guy.
And we've seen Brian McCann come out in traffic, so that could actually play to an advantage of Zach Millett with McCann having to fight through traffic while he's trying to make up those seconds.
I mean, he's going to have to pass those lap trucks. It's going to burn up the tires. You want to burn them up while you're going fast. You don't want to burn them up because you're fighting through some slower trucks. I think it's a good opportunity. Zach should come this time. He does. Yes, he does. Blocks are down. Get all you can get. Almost spins the truck out on entry. Hopefully he got her woed down.
Ooh, he looked at that wall right there.
Yeah, he was looking at the grandstands for a minute. Zach Millett on pit lane from the race lead. Now relinquishes that lead for the first time to Chris Mefford. Mefford still needing to pit as well. So 15 laps to go. Millett can certainly make it to the end here. In the pit box. A little bit deep in that pit box. Luckily didn't have to back up the truck. .2 seconds, 4 tires in fuel for Zach Millett, who is making pit stops for this guy. That was lightning fast. Fastest pit stop I've seen all season for 4 tires in fuel.
Absolutely. His pit crew absolutely got the job done and kept him in front of Brian and Kevin McCann.
Millet back on the track. He rejoins in P7. Meanwhile, Brian Rowe is leaving the pit lane. He's completed his stop. A little bit of damage on that truck, a little worse than it was, I think. I know you had noted it earlier, Eric. It's just the angle. Left front looks a little damaged. Hood's buckled up a bit.
It looks a little worse. He may have got into somebody or something.
Mark Truxell leaving the pits here. Alfie Charon. Brandon Mefford. Final stop of the day.
If you run it out and you're like Medford, the Medford's still on the track, Chris Medford, do you maybe chance fuel only, or is that a no-go?
Here's the problem: is Chris Mefford? Okay, he's leading right now. He's running minute 14:46. Millet's already up into fifth. Remember, he rejoined in P7. His last lap, hard to say, minute 38 because of the pit stop. We'll see, but I'd be betting he's going to be picking up a second and a half or more each lap. We've got 15. He's still going to have to stop. I don't really see the advantage. I think he's made a poor choice here, Chris Mefford, in staying on the racetrack. I know he's trying to gamble here, and I could be wrong. He can certainly make me a liar out of this, but even if he takes fuel only, he's going to be slow. He's going to be a second and a half to 2 seconds a lap slower than the rest of the guys. Meanwhile, Neil Quick and Chris Goins come down. Let's watch Neil Quick and see what kind of strategy he goes with, because those guys all come from the IROC series. We'll see if they kind of mirror each other's strategy. We know Kevin and Brian McCann took 4 tires in fuel, but let's see what happens here. Left sides for sure. That was kind of the only unknown. Would anybody take lefts only? I think if you're Chris Mefford, maybe that's an opportunity, but then you're going to really sacrifice a lot. Couple of left-handers in the bus stop, the left-hander up the hill in the S's, and of course the left-hand turn 10 at the end of the lap. Of course, I talk about them in complete opposite order that I should have been in, but you know what I'm talking about. 4 tires and fuel for Neil Quick. It seems that that's been the call for every driver on pit lane thus far. Chris Mefford, Mark Thomas, though, as you said, Eric, still needing to make their pit stop. The only 2 that have not. Mefford stays out again here. We've got 12 laps to go. We're going to take an HBR TV side-by-side break, though, our final one, and we'll be back right after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Watkins Glen International, 10 laps remain here for Zach Millett, who maintains the top spot, has cycled back to the lead, 5.3 seconds ahead of second place running Brian McCann. Those positions for second and third switched up between Brian and Kevin through the green flag pit cycle. Kevin's still right there, a truck length and a half off the back bumper of the three, but Millett just out there running his race. Did a good job maintaining the lead at the end of that pit cycle, and he does now also have a 2-lap tire advantage over P2 and a 1-lap tire advantage over Kevin McCann. So if things get real crazy and he makes a mistake and he has to fight these guys off, at least he has a slight tire advantage.
Yeah, I think Zach has played this race pretty well. He's got himself in great position.
Jesse Redding in trouble, exit of turn 1. See what he sees. He's trying to wait for these guys to come through. If I'm him, I'm going to get that thing spun around and just, he got so much paved runoff there.
Ease it back onto the track.
Yep, just find a way. Lesson learned. Eddie Rose in trouble into turn 2. He's a slow goer there at the bottom of the racetrack. Not a good place to be going slow. The very high speed, very narrow S's here at Watkins Glen. Meanwhile, Zach Millett across the stripe here. Main straightaway here at Watkins Glen. Lap 38 goes up on the board. 8 laps to go. Brandon Mefford in the 7th position. He's got Alfie Charon in behind him. Look at that, Chris Goins in the mix still. So is Mark Thomas. These guys have all been battling for these spots here pretty much since the drop of the green flag this afternoon. Mark Truxell running in the 12th position. He's passed 5 cars for position. Remember, he didn't qualify, started P17. We talked about differing styles and downshifting and braking. Sounds like Mark Thomas is grabbing second gear into turn 10. I think it's honestly a little too aggressive, but it does certainly help the truck rotate. Battle for position, Chris Goins taking a look. Maybe it was the other way around. Mark Thomas, I think, was behind him just a moment ago.
Yeah, Thomas made the pass on Goins there.
Let's go back and take a look at it. How it unfolded out of turn 9, the carousel corner. Got a big run out of the corner, just makes the pass, uses the power move, doesn't even need to outbrake Chris Goins.
Yeah, I think Goins had a problem coming out of the turn there. The 50 was definitely able to capitalize on it.
Certainly could have been the case.
One thing about it, Mark Thomas and Alfie, they, I know they're teammates, but they are about the same skill level as these road courses. We've seen them running right together all day, traded positions a few times, so definitely on the same path there.
Which is interesting too, because Alfie Charon, admittedly, not really a road racer per se. Say Mark Thomas would say that he's a road racer. He can jump into a GT3 car and perform well. He can even create his own racing setups here in iRacing for those types of cars, even here in the trucks or even a late model stock. He's very well versed in all things racing. But Alfie has really had to work hard to try and improve his road racing prowess, and it has certainly shown. You know, he's been working a lot with Brian Rose and Zach Millett and those guys, and he gets in the grass. Oh, almost. Alfie Charon almost ruined his and Mark Thomas's day. Gets the left side of the truck in the grass, exit at turn 11, has to make a save, and he does, but Mark Thomas slides into the 8th position. That could have been disaster for both of these drivers with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, I thought he was coming across the track right there. He done an amazing job of keeping that thing under control.
Alfie's still right there, and I think Alfie still might have the pace. Now we're going to see these guys battle it out. It's going to be a problem for both of them, really, because I think Brandon Mefford might be slower than the both of them. They might have to work together here as a team and pass the 83. Talk about points battles here. Brian Rose running in the 5th position again, trying to maximize his day. Is solidly ahead of the 2 of Neil Quick by about 10 trucks.
And I'm pretty sure that Neil has a little bit fresher tires, so we'll see if that is able to help Neil as looks like he's sending it around through here right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can have newer tires, but if you're driving them like Neil does, or Neil is right now, he's going to put a lot of heat into those tires. It's not necessarily going to provide optimum grip, even though they are 2 laps newer than Brian Rose. The other thing is, he's going to have to catch Brian Rose. Whoa, and he comes out of the corner, gets on the curbing, and slides it into the Armco. Neil Quick, never mind trying to catch Brian Rose. He's going to catch back up. He's going to lock back into the P10 here, but trouble out of turn number 1, as we were just talking about Neil Quick. Doesn't need to worry about catching Brian Rose now.
Yeah, and I know these two are really close in points, and Neil was wanting to maybe catch him and pass him, but luckily he was able to save it, and he's got a chance to try to run these guys back down with 3 or 4 laps to go.
Let's watch it again here. Neil did a pretty good job of limiting the damage to that incident. I want to back it up again here, see if we can get a better angle of it, see how that went down. I've had it happen to me before, certainly. Slowed down here into turn 1. Gets the inside curb just enough, the perfect amount, really. And I think he just gets back to the throttle a little bit too soon. Or does it upset the truck over the bumps? Yeah, it unloads the truck big time in the rear end of it. It's going to send him around. He locks him up right away. Quick reactions for Neil Quick. Definitely got 4 flat-spotted tires, and maybe he doesn't get the Armco. Yeah, maybe a tiny piece.
Yeah, that was a great job. I think a lot of the drivers would have tried to ride that out and save it, and he locked him up early.
Well, there's just so little room there. Oh, man, we got trouble almost again for the S's. Mark Thomas doing everything he can to stay ahead of Neil Quick. Neil Quick certainly not happy about what just happened in turn 1. It has nothing to do with the 50, but he's on a mission. Trying to take these spots back the best that he can. Makes the pass into the bus stop. A very good move for the 2. Some guys drive better when they're angry. I think Neil Quick might be one of them.
Yeah, I think the 50 may have got into the wall or something. I don't think that scrape was there earlier, and he lost a lot of ground to everybody else.
Don't know if that was an issue through the S's or not. Let me try and see if I can find it. In fact, it looks like that is the case. Mark Thomas off track. This is the bus stop as he gets, big time impact in the Armco. Let's back this up. I want to watch it from Alfie Charon because it was almost disaster there. Entry into the bus stop. And looks like Mark Thomas turns in here. Might have locked up the rears, which means it over-rotates into the Armco. Just barely. Alfie Charon does not collect him, but that was close. Things getting exciting here at the Glen late through the mid-pack within our top 10. Two laps to go here from Watkins Glen. Millett still out in front. Healthy advantage over Brian McCann. It's 8.1 seconds. Brian McCann. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say, Millett definitely been strong all day. I mean, he led every lap except for the pit cycle.
You know, it's funny. I talked to Zach Millett. It might have been Friday or even yesterday afternoon. I said, hey, how's things going at the Glen? You got any laps in? And he admittedly said, I haven't turned a single lap. I'm just not feeling it this week. So he's out here leading this race. I wonder if he's feeling it now.
I like him and Brian Rose saying stuff to play the underdog card.
Takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Zach Millett still with the race lead here out of turn number 10. Runs a little wide. He's still pushing. I think that's just the nature of Zach Millett. If you got an 8.5 second lead, well, I'm going to do what got me here. Keep pushing. White flag waves. 1 lap to go for that S4 guy. Down into turn 1. Dominating performance here today. Certainly put on a clinic. Had to work for it there on the restart after the stage. Kevin and Brian McCann both putting the pressure on. Was almost 3 wide through turn 1 on that restart. Then he had to fight off Kevin McCann. Did that readily. Since put a gap on everybody else.
Yeah, just a phenomenal job. I mean, the road courses this year, he's got a second and first, assuming nothing happens, as he's still pushing it.
Yeah, he's pushing it hard. He had that thing hung right out in the bus stop, and I thought it was coming around.
Yeah, that would, we have seen that happen here before on the last lap, but,
I tell you, I ran an ARCA race here, I don't know, maybe a month ago in the Num Thumbs Racing League. Having a race very similar to what Zach Millett has had. And right here in this corner, turn 10, I drove straight through the gravel trap, got the fence, still was able to come back, but almost threw it all the way. As Zach Millett rolling through turn 11 here for the final time.
he can let it coast now.
Zach Millett, your race winner here at Watkins Glen, takes the checkered flag. Brian McCann on to turn 11. Relatively unchallenged P2. Kevin McCann P3. Millett burning them down already down into turn 1. Be careful, that can get you DQ'd if you're not careful.
Maybe he got the warning, that's why he quit.
Yeah, typically they want you to complete the cool down lap before you start trying to burn it down, because there are still guys on the racetrack trying to finish up their race. Mark Thomas ends up finishing 10th tonight. Mark Truxell was P12. Gained 5 spots. In fact, looks like Truxell's going to be our hard charger tonight. Have to double check the rule book on that because he did not attempt to qualify. If he's not eligible at that rule, it's going to be Brian Rose as the hard charger because he finished in 5th, 4 spots from where he started. Same as Brandon Mefford, but again, he finished higher in the running, so it would go to Brian Rose. Social media will certainly take care of that this week. Brian Rose will get that posted as far as who it ends up being. Zach Millett doing his best Keaton Burnett impression out of the corners here, drifting that truck all over the place.
Well deserved by him.
Alfie Jaron, congratulate. No, nothing. It's just Alfie being Alfie. That's a congratulatory, hey, hi, how are you? Millett not done. I think he's done.
He's done there.
Well, with that, we're going to jump out and get our final break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this. Stay with us.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Watkins Glen International. The Finger Lakes Grand Prix at the Glen in the books. Zach Millett, your race winner. Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, second and third. Let's see if we can get a word with Zach Millett, our race winner. Zach and Steve in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Try it one more time. Zach Millett, Steve in the booth.
Hey, Steve, got a better copy.
There we go. Zach Millett, congratulations, man. You won the pole, you won the practice, you won the race. Tell us about this thing. Looks like 4 tires in fuel was kind of the strategy for everyone involved. You stuck to that. Obviously, it worked out. What was your mindset when you started to see the McCann brothers come down pit lane a little bit sooner than all had anticipated?
Yeah, it was definitely sooner than I thought. Once they both came down, they pretty much forced me down pit lane. You can't stay out with these guys that run you down in no time. So, yeah, I came in and took the tires. I didn't think we were going to take tires. After I talked to you at the stage break, I kind of thought it was going to be a splash and go, similar to the NTRL. But, hey, I didn't mind taking tires. It was nice.
Certainly makes it a little bit easier. You can put 4 fresh tires on it. You can go out and just turn some more laps at full pace, and I guess you're running qualifying laps most of the time out there. I don't think we saw a 12 out of anybody. Oh, yeah, we did. It was a minute 12:73, actually, your best lap of the night. Only driver to crack the 12s here tonight, so job well done. Not quite qualifying pace, but pretty close. I don't know, man. Just you put on a clinic here tonight. I don't have a whole lot of words really to throw at you, but congratulations.
Thanks, man. I love this place. It's our home track. So, anytime we want to try a car or, do anything, it's always Watkins Glen. So it's definitely the favorite. Love coming here no matter what we're driving. So I'm glad we can come away with a win at the home track. It's awesome. I'm pumped, dude.
Certainly a good way to close out this season. Not the season, but at least this section of the season. This is the first round of our playoffs. Next week, we go from wild card to another wild card. We start off the next round at Talladega Super Speedway. Kind of love-hate. You go from Watkins Glen to the Super Speedway. How do you feel about your chances next week at Dega?
Oh, awful. Absolutely awful. I've got the worst luck at restrictor plate tracks. No matter what I do, if I ride in the back and play it calm, I end up in a wreck. If I try to stay up front, I end up in a wreck. And I know I say it every time about those tracks, but it's the old David Bradford saying, you race for 2 hours real hard, don't blink a bit, and then get wrecked with 1 to go. So, not pumped.
Does tend to be the way it goes, but hey, if Michael Waltrip can win a couple of those things, I think you got the opportunity just like anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zach, thanks for talking to us again. Congratulations. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Thanks, man. I got to thank you and Eric at HBR TV for the broadcast, as always. The guys over at Right Turn Racing for everything they do for the No Bull Series. Crack Bar Media, Eric Dodson State Farm, Castle Products, Fahey Race Wraps, HBRShops.com, and shoot me a follow over on Twitch at that S4 guy.
All right, Zach. Thanks again, man. Good luck next week.
Appreciate it, man.
Zach Millett, your race winner here at the Glen. Next, we're going to go to Brian McCann. Brian able to win out at Sonoma earlier on in the season. Finishes P2 here at Watkins Glen. Brian, it's Steve in the booth. You got us?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, Brian. Again, another solid run here in the No Bull Racing Series. Not quite a win that you're used to getting, but second place, I guess you'll take it, man. But tell us about your race. Was there anything strategy-wise that you could have tried differently to at least catch Zach Millett and put on the challenge late?
No, I didn't have anything for Zach. Zach was fast. Good win to him. So the race were second place, and a short pit. Kevin a little bit early got out in front of him and stayed out in front of him. A little bit faster on the long run there, so that was my strategy on him. But one thing you probably don't know is before every race, I got a Rolodex of excuses that I spin and select one, and this one landed on my nose itch.
Nose itched. Okay, fair enough. Well, next week we got all kinds of opportunities for excuses. We're going to Talladega Super Speedway. Definitely a crapshoot for just about anybody that wants to turn a lap at that place, but it's going to be an exciting one. How do you feel about your chances to get the win in the opening round of the next stage next week?
Big luck track, so that's a roll of the dice there. But I got a lot of good teammates in here, so that helps out a whole lot on plate tracks. So we'll try to strategize something and see what we can do.
Well, that's all we can do, Brian. Again, congratulations on P2 and so far an excellent season here in the No Bull Racing Series. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, my family, my wife, everybody watching tonight, you for doing the broadcast, the admins for putting the league on, and our sponsors. Thank you.
All right, Brian, thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck at Dega next week.
Thank you.
It's Brian McCann, your runner-up. No Kevin McCann, unfortunately, not available for comment here post-race, your third-place finisher, but he will get the credit for that position. But let's take a look at our race results. Zach Millett, of course, your race winner. Brian McCann was in the second position. Kevin McCann, P3. Chris Mefford, fourth. Brian Rose was fifth. Brandon Mefford brought it home in P6. Alfie Charon was seventh. Chris Goins, eighth. Neil Quick, ninth. After almost really throwing it away there out of turn one, he was looking at a solid top 5, possibly. Unable to bring that one home. P9 for the 2. Mark Thomas, a solid top 10. Joe Tucker, a good run. P11. Mark Truxell was 12th. Drew Parail was 13th. Doug Wysocki, 14th. Jesse Redding brought his bride home in the 15th position. Eddie Rose, P16. Eric Beadle, 17th. Tommy D'Angelo out of this one real early, finishes 18th, 35 laps down. Josh Thomas, last but not least, 19th, 38 laps down. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight here at Watkins Glen. Certainly one of my favorite places to be. Favorite places to watch a race, favorite places to call a race, favorite places to drive a race. Yes, it's high on the list. But either way, a decent race here tonight. A lot of action through mid-pack, not so much out front. Maybe on the restarts we got to see some battle between Millett and the McCann brothers. That was certainly exciting. But next week, it's going to be all excitement, almost every lap. We're out at Talladega Super Speedway, so make sure you guys tune in for that. Going to be a fun one. Again, of course, next Sunday, tune in about 8:10, 8:15 in the East. You won't miss a minute of the action here at HBR TV. Congratulations to Zach Millett winning the Finger Lakes Grand Prix at the Glen. I'm Steve Singer with HBR TV. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.